Hello, everyone. I hope you are having an amazing week. Thank you for joining me today. Today's topic is one that I've been thinking about a lot lately, and it's the idea of how often, as parents, do we seek out opportunities and activities for ourselves? It is super easy to find things for our kids to do and make sure that they fulfill their obligations by getting them to places on time. But how often are we as parents doing that for ourselves? Before we dive in, if this is your first time watching one of our videos, welcome. My name is Yong, Pratt, and I am the Chief Dreamer right here at our Young Creators. Here at OYC, we love helping families create a bonding atmosphere in their houses when it comes to time spent on their devices versus having a lot of bickering that often happens when it comes to the amount of time kids are spending looking at their devices, playing games, connecting with friends on social media, etc. It is one of the biggest requests we get, and the question we get most often is how do we get our kids off of their devices? Now, I'm here to say that I think that's pretty much the wrong question to be asking because there is so much more to that. I really think that if we are intentional with the use of our technology and teach our kids to do the same, by giving them some skills to use those technological advices to start creating things of their own rather than just consuming them, then we're all going to be living in a better space. So what really got me thinking about this topic was traveling. So as you can see, I'm in a brand new space this week. We are out of town, and Daphne was invited to attend a week-long girls math and technology camp, and we decided we would stay in town rather than driving back home the almost 5 hours and back again to pick her up on Friday. So as a parent, it was a really easy choice when she had this opportunity for her to apply. She wanted to come, she wanted to see what it was all about and have this experience on her own. And it was so interesting because she was so eager to go, even though she knew she wasn't going to know anybody. And it was her first sleepaway experience at a camp without any family members. She really jumped in, both feet first, and then was excited to go. When I thought about that in terms of would I do the same thing, how often do I jump into situations or experiences when I don't know anybody, when it's something brand new, when there's the unknown? And I think for me anyway, it's more difficult for me to choose things to do and activities to go pursue if I don't know anybody and there's not already a certain level of comfort. What about you? As you're listening live, watching the replay, or maybe hearing this on the podcast, I would love to know how often you are seeking out opportunities as a parent for activities and experiences for yourself. Now, recently, I finished up an 8-week course all about building a brand using video, because I really felt that using this medium of video was something that I really wanted to do. I could see the value of it for so many different reasons, and was really an activity that I wanted to get better at because it was not something I was immediately comfortable doing. And in fact, I spent a long time not showing up live on video, not using video, and not really even wanting to speak in front of people publicly, even though I had my own business. I usually had other people MC our live events and would do pretty much everything to avoid standing center stage and speaking my truth and sharing my thoughts and ideas with others because it just wasn't comfortable for me. So I jumped into that experience with both feet. However, I did know going in that participating in the group, I would be able to meet some of these people live. I had never met any of the wonderful people in this particular group coaching program before, but because I knew I could meet with them live, I really wanted to do it more because I knew that we'd be able to make a bigger connection by meeting live. So I jumped in and said yes to that. And when that program concluded, I said yes again to continuing on to be surrounded by these amazing individuals who have so much to share and so much passion. And it was just nice to be able to connect with people who are very like-minded. Now, I live in a very small town, and I don't often go out to social situations to meet other women, especially. I don't normally go out and hang out with lots of women in my area because, for one, I really enjoy being at home with my family and my kids and being able to have time for myself at home versus always having to get dressed up and go out and really put myself in situations where I may not be super comfortable. The other reason I don't go out a lot is that I don't have a lot of friends that share a ton of the same interests, especially when it comes to being an entrepreneur and running my own business, because I find sometimes when I share with other people who are not in this arena, there's often a lot of questioning going on and a lot of wondering what I'm doing and asking questions about, are you sure that's the right thing? Or, ooh, that sounds really scary. I don't know that I would do that. There's not a lot of support in that arena. So I find it much easier to connect with other people, especially other women online who are also business owners and parents because they get it. A lot of us are introverts, meaning we like time alone. We like to do solo activities, and I've been like that my entire life. I do like to go out in certain circumstances when we're celebrating something or there's a good reason to go out. I just like to be home, like I said. So this last week, we actually had a book club meeting, and we wrapped up reading this book right here. It is a book by Lori Harder, and it's called A Tribe Called Bliss. And it's really all about women and seeking tribes and friendships and how to develop deeper friendships that are not superficial. Because I don't know about you, I have a lot of acquaintances, I guess I would say, where we have a couple of things in common, but beyond that, there's not really anything to talk about. It's a little bit uncomfortable. So what this book was really great at is at the end of every chapter, there are questions of self-reflection. You go through them and you answer them yourselves, and then you get together with a tribe, maybe it's a new tribe of people, and there are some directed questions with time limits and some constraints so that everyone has an equal opportunity to share their ideas, share their feedback and takeaways, and there can be some discussion that goes beyond the surface level of discussion, which is really great because it's nice to have some direction when it comes to building a tribe, whether that's locally or online, because everyone kind of knows the ground rules. Often as adults, we don't go into relationships or into conversations setting a lot of ground rules. We kind of just go in, give a little bit of ourselves, hoping the other person gives equally, when really it's up to us to be able to manage that situation. But I know that I'm not super great at that. So this book was really instrumental in helping me really think about things in a different way. And then when we dropped Daphne off at her camp on Sunday night, it was really fascinating for me to be back on a university campus because I graduated with my undergraduate degree over 20 years ago now. And while I did get my master's degree, I did do it online. So I didn't have to go into a university setting and be surrounded by people who really have a different way of thinking. So it was really fascinating to hear topics brought up that I haven't really considered lately, or there's not really anybody that I would really want to discuss them with. So it was just a fascinating way to have Daphne lead the way into opening the door into a situation that I may not have wanted to do personally, but because I was there to support her and encourage her and give her this opportunity, I was willing to go along. So my challenge for you today is to go out there and seek out opportunities in which you as an adult can disconnect for a few minutes even from your mom duties or your dad duties and find a space for yourself. Now, I would love to invite you into my online community over at Raising Creators right here on Facebook. And it is a community of parents who are all raising creators. Now, those creators could be very, very young. They could also be creators who have gone on to go out into the big world as adults and carve their own path and really go into the world bravely and do things like run their own businesses. We have parents of all on the spectrum the entire way. So young parents all the way to older parents who have raised kids and who can now give us feedback at different stages in our journey. And last Wednesday, we had our first candid conversation, and that was with my new online friend, Kim White. And she talked all about how she raised her boys to think outside the box and how she nurtured that progress and their path into becoming entrepreneurs. So if you haven't caught that, go back and watch that from last Wednesday. And I'm going to wrap up this video. The little kids that we're staying with, they are back. So I will catch you later, but head over to Raising Creators, request access to the group while it's still free, and we are accepting members. And I would love to get to know you better there and to have you join us inside of our book club in our community. All the details are waiting for you over in Raising Creators. Cheers.